The last time I spoke to my best friend's mom, she gave me an old family recipe and said, "Now you'll always have a piece of us." I didn't realize she was giving me more than just instructions. She was giving me something to hold when she was gone. The last time I spoke to my best friend's mom, I didn't know it was going to be the last time. That's the kind of sentence you hear in movies or see in some emotional post online, but this actually happened. And I think about it more than I should. It was a regular afternoon. I had just finished laundry. I remember because I was annoyed at how one sock always disappears, like it's some kind of bad joke. I was sitting on the floor of my apartment, scrolling on my phone, half watching a show in the background, when I got the text. "Are you free to come by today? I have something for you." I froze a little when I saw it. I hadn't heard from her in months. Not because anything was wrong, not directly at least, but because I hadn't really been in touch with Anna, my best friend. Or at least she was. Things just got distant. We didn't fight. We didn't break up or anything. Life just did what it does. Schedules. Jobs. Maybe a little bit of unspoken resentment that we both ignored. I don't know. But Mrs. Alvarez was different. She was always the constant. Warm, patient, funny in that dry, quiet way. I spent more time at their house than my own when we were growing up. When things were rough with my mom, I'd just show up there, and she'd act like it was normal. No big questions, just, "You hungry?" So yeah, I went. Her house looked almost exactly the same, except the front yard was a little more overgrown. It used to be spotless. The paint on the door was chipped. She opened it wearing the same old blue apron I'd seen her in 100 times. I think I smiled before I even said anything. "There she is," she said. I hugged her. She felt smaller. That was the first thing I noticed. Like she had shrunk a little. Or maybe I had just gotten used to the way people disappear when you don't look closely. We walked into the kitchen, and it smelled like cinnamon and something else I couldn't place. She had always kept that kitchen spotless, not in a strict way, just in a "this is where things happen" kind of way. "I was thinking about you the other day," she said, handing me a folded piece of paper. "And I realized I never gave you this." I opened it. It was a recipe. Handwritten, soft around the edges, with some small grease stains in the corners. I recognized the handwriting immediately. It was hers. "Pan Dulce," I said, reading the title. "I remember this. You used to make this every December." She nodded. "My mother taught me. Her mother taught her. It's nothing fancy, but it's ours." I smiled. "You want me to try making it?" "I want you to have it," she said, looking at me for a beat too long. "I want you to always have something real from us, in case you ever feel far away." I didn't know what to say. Something about the way she said it made my chest tight. She touched my hand. "Now you'll always have a piece of us." I looked down at the paper again. There was a line that read, "Add the milk until it feels like Sunday morning." I laughed. "What does that even mean?" She smiled. "One day you'll know." We didn't talk about Anna. I think she knew that door was closed for now, and maybe she didn't want to push it. Or maybe she was tired. There was a stillness in her I hadn't seen before. Not sad, not exactly. Just still. We had tea. She asked about my job, my new apartment. I told her small things, nothing deep, just surface-level updates. I felt like there was more I wanted to say, but I didn't know how to start. When I got up to leave, she hugged me again, a little longer this time. "If you ever miss us," she said, "bake this." I smiled. "I will." That was it. I didn't know she was sick. 3 weeks later, my phone rang at 7:42 a.m. I was getting ready for work, brushing my teeth, thinking about whether I had time to stop for gas. The name on the screen said Anna. I hadn't seen her name pop up in almost a year. For a second, I almost didn't answer. But something told me I had to. When I picked up, she didn't say hello. "She's gone," Anna said. Her voice was thin, shaky. "Mom passed yesterday morning." I sat down on the edge of my bed. My toothbrush was still in my hand. I didn't even realize it was dripping onto my pants until later. "What?" I asked. She didn't tell anyone how bad it was. Not even me. It was in her lungs. Stage 4. She said she didn't want the whole house to feel like a hospital. I didn't say anything. I just listened to Anna breathe. Then she said something that really hit me. She told me you came by. I swallowed hard.
Yeah.
She gave me the recipe. There was a pause. She didn't give that to me, Anna said quietly. I didn't know what to say. The funeral was 2 days later. It was small, mostly family. I stood near the back. Anna saw me, but we didn't speak at first. She looked worn out. Not just sad, hollow, like the sadness had been scraped out and replaced with something quieter. After the service, I wandered into the kitchen while people were in the living room telling stories. I saw her apron still hanging where it always did. The counter was cleared off.
No sugar bowls, no cinnamon jars.
Just clean surfaces that didn't feel like her anymore. I pulled the recipe out of my purse and laid it on the counter.
I stared at it for a long time.
A voice behind me said, "She told me you were like her second daughter." I turned around. Anna was leaning in the doorway. She wasn't smiling. I nodded. She meant a lot to me. I know, she said. Then she looked down at the recipe. I used to think she loved you more than me sometimes. That stung. What are you talking about? I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. She never said it, Anna continued, but I always felt like you got the best version of her. The softer one. The one who had time. With me, she was always tired. Always worried. I didn't know what to do with that. I felt my face get warm. That's not fair. I didn't take anything from you. She shook her head. I know. I guess I thought when she was gone, I'd feel like the daughter. But she gave you the recipe. She walked away after that. I stayed in the kitchen another 15 minutes. That night, I went home and tried to make the bread. I followed every instruction, but it didn't come out right. It was too dry. The crust burned. I threw the first batch out. I tried again. Too wet. Wouldn't hold its shape. I sat on the floor in front of the oven and cried. On the third try, I stopped measuring. I just felt it out. I added the milk until the dough felt like something familiar. Something warm. Something like her. The smell filled the apartment. I didn't even eat it. I just sat at the table with the loaf in front of me, the kitchen light buzzing quietly overhead, and the folded paper next to my elbow. I hadn't spoken to Anna since the funeral. A week passed. Then 2. Then a month. She never reached out. I started baking the bread once a month. Not for anyone. Just for me. It became something like a ritual. Every time, I'd think about what Mrs. Alvarez said. Now you'll always have a piece of us. And I realized I had no idea how long she'd known, how sick she really was. But she gave that recipe to me like it was more than just instructions. Like it was the only thing she could leave in my hands. Like she knew Anna wouldn't want it. Or wouldn't understand it. Maybe she knew Anna would resent me for it. Maybe that was the price of being loved a little too much by someone else's mother. 2 months after the funeral, I got a letter in the mail. No return address. Just my name, written in careful handwriting that I hadn't seen in years. Inside was a single photo. It was me, Anna, and Mrs. Alvarez. Taken at her old kitchen table. I think we were 17. We were laughing, all 3 of us. You could see flour in Anna's hair. I remembered that day. We had tried to make that same bread, and we messed it up so badly that her mom had to start over. Taped to the back of the photo was a note. In Anna's handwriting this time. You were part of this house. I know that now. I just wish she told me why she didn't leave the recipe to her daughter.
No hay palagui. No worms. Just that line.
I read it 5 times. And suddenly, I remembered something I hadn't thought about in years. One night, junior year, I had stayed over because my mom and I got into another fight. Mrs. Alvarez had made hot chocolate and let me sleep in the guest room. That night, as I passed the kitchen for water, I heard her on the phone. She was crying, talking to someone, maybe her sister. I only caught one sentence clearly. Sometimes I feel like she's mine too. I had forgotten that. Or maybe buried it. Now it came back sharp and loud, like a secret someone else whispered in your ear too many years too late. I never told Anna about that night. but maybe Mrs. Alvarez did. A week later, Anna's cousin messaged me on Facebook. She had gone through some of her aunt's things and found a journal. "There's a whole section about you," she wrote. "I thought you should know." I met her in a coffee shop. She handed me a worn notebook, blue cover, frayed edges. I didn't read it there. I took it home. I stayed up all night reading it. Mrs. Alvarez had written about baking, about holidays, about fights with Anna, some small, some deep. But scattered through the pages were small notes about me. She showed up again today.
No knock.
Just quiet tears. I let her stir the batter. I told Anna I wasn't angry, but the truth is I was. She doesn't see how lucky she is to feel safe in her own house. The girls are drifting. I can feel it. I want to stop it, but maybe some things don't stay. And then this one. I gave the recipe to her. Not because Anna doesn't deserve it, but because she'll understand what it means. She'll need it more. That page was folded, like she wanted to be sure someone saw it. I closed the journal and sat with my hand over it. I didn't know what to do. I hadn't spoken to Anna since the note. I thought about writing her back. I thought about calling. But every time I picked up my phone, I heard her voice in my head saying, "I used to think she loved you more than me sometimes." Maybe she wasn't wrong. Or maybe that's what hurt most, that a part of her was right. I started baking the bread again. But this time, I wrapped it up and left it on Anna's porch. No note.
No explanation.
She never reached out. But a week later, I passed by her house again. The porch light was on. The empty tray was still sitting there, washed clean. I started leaving the bread every month, always the same day, always on the porch. I never saw Anna, never knocked. Just left the wrapped loaf and drove away. It felt strange at first, almost pathetic. Like I was trying to feed a wound I didn't know how to close. But I kept doing it. Once it was raining and I nearly turned around. But I pulled into her driveway anyway and left the bread in a Ziploc bag under the awning. The next day, when I passed by, it was gone. I don't know why I expected something, a text, a note, anything. But it never came. Just that clean tray, left out like she was saying I got it without saying anything else. Then one morning, for months after the funeral, I got another envelope in the mail. No return address again. Inside was the same recipe, my copy. But this one was rewritten.
Typed.
Laminated.
Preserved. No note this time.
Just the recipe, as if she was giving it back to me, but cleaner. Easier to read. Like she was saying, "You keep it, but now it's yours, not hers." I stared at it for a long time. Later that week, I went back to the journal. I hadn't opened it since the first time. I flipped to the back this time, where a few loose papers had been tucked into the cover. There was a small photo I hadn't noticed before, Anna as a baby, sitting in Mrs. Alvarez's lap. They were both looking at the camera, but not smiling. It looked like a candid moment, caught in between things. Her mom's hand was on Anna's chest, protective.
Steady.
And scribbled next to it, in her handwriting, was this: "Anna is my blood, but that girl was my mirror. I hope they both find their way, even if it's not together." That line hit me harder than anything else. That girl was my mirror. Not her daughter.
Me.
I didn't know whether to feel honored or gutted. Maybe both. A week later, I drove past Anna's house again. No bread this time. I just needed to see it. The porch was empty. But then I saw something new, the blue apron. Hanging in the window. Not folded. Not hidden away. Just there. Visible. Like a flag. Or a wound. I parked down the block and just sat for a while. Watching the light in her kitchen. Wondering if she was in there. Wondering if she ever looked out and thought about me. I didn't go up. I haven't gone back since. Sometimes I still bake the bread, even though I don't leave it anywhere now. I slice it, freeze half, eat the rest over a few quiet mornings. People ask me where I learned the recipe, and I just say it's from someone who meant a lot to me. I never say her name. I never mention Anna. It's easier that way. Some things don't need explaining. Some people become part of you, even when they're not in your life anymore. And sometimes the only thing you get to keep is the smell of cinnamon in an empty kitchen and the way it makes you feel like, just for a second, you're still welcome somewhere.